shows. I have not been on WhatsApp in any investment groups. I have not been on. I started a Telegram channel for Safal Niveshak, but I have not been active in the sense that it's an inactive channel, right? Again, for sharing ideas. I think social media has been a boon in terms of connecting people, in terms of bringing ideas to people, right? But I think every good thing has a bad side as well, and I think when that bad side is taken too far, I think that is what causes most problems, right? So even when it comes to Twitter, it's great to be there to soak in the ideas of so many brilliant people, brilliant minds who are on Twitter, sharing ideas freely with the world. So I think choose your network, choose the people you want to follow very wisely, right? Be very careful rather than just blindly following anyone, right? I think that having that bullshit antenna up, right, always, all the time. I think that is such an important thing when it comes to social media, because most of the stuff is like that, right? YouTube, I think, is a black hole. I just be there. I'm just be there just to go and publish my 1% shows. Otherwise, I don't really enjoy going on YouTube much, because again, there are too many people mis-selling stuff. There's too many ideas. Though YouTube has really helped a lot of people in far reaches of the country and worldwide to learn so many good things, and I think I should give them credit for that, right? But there, if you can choose between good and bad, and if you can choose between noise and signal, you're perfectly fine being on those channels as well. WhatsApp and Telegram, I think by the name, they are instant messaging platforms, right? So instant messaging in a world of instant gratification, I think, is a deadly combination, right? So I have never been a part of any WhatsApp group. There are WhatsApp groups which are created by members of Safal Niveshak, and they are there like members out there. But I've not been a part of any group so far. I think I don't really. I want to stay away from the noise. I think, as I mentioned again and again, I want to stay away from noise as much as possible. Even on Twitter, I generally uninstall Twitter from my mobile. I sometimes install it when I'm traveling, but I keep it uninstalled when I am at home, right? So that I don't really spend a lot of time over there. Because however smart you think that you are, that you are going to not spend a lot of time on Twitter and all those kind of things, you end up, I'm not sure, that's the addiction of the social media, that you end up spending a lot of time on just browsing through random stuff, right? And random videos, all those kind of things. So I think cutting them at the original, right? Saying no to a lot of noise. I think that's something which I believe in. Again, a disclaimer, not saying that the people who are part of all these channels are doing something bad, but it's not my cup of tea. I think if you want to avoid a lot of noise, misinformation in today's world, right, you would be much better off avoiding most of these channels, especially WhatsApp and Telegram. Right, you can still be on Twitter, though even Twitter is now a hotbed of misinformation. YouTube is a big hotbed of misinformation, right? But I think and just to go on YouTube and see the kind of following that people selling snake oil have, right? And they are held at such high pedestals, right? So I am I'm not really surprised in a world of instant gratification and technology being there for everyone. We saw the kind of wealth destruction that happened in the cryptocurrency space, where so many youngsters had bet their initial savings, right? Forget the stock markets, right? So people with no knowledge, people with not much idea about what they are getting into, when they come on these channels and they start believing those snake oil salespeople, I think that's something which I advise people to do that, right? So be there, but keep your antennas up and differentiate between what is signal, what is noise, what is junk. Stay away from noise and junk. Focus on the signal if you can, right? And learn to separate what really matters to you for the long term. I think information has a shelf life, right? So focus on information that has a long shelf life than on information which has a short shelf life, right? So I think if you can do that, you'll be much better off using the power of social media to your favor.
That's very relevant. I wanted Vishal you to dwell upon it, because both me and Akhilesh, we are friends with some really good investors who are completely unknown. So they are our age, and they are doing really great work, and they are completely unknown in this world of social media. And those are the people from whom we learn the most about investing. So one of them is also a Mission Smile member, uh, Vikas Kasturi. I don't know whether he has joined today or not. So he's not on social media. He's not on Twitter. He's not on, even WhatsApp is not installed in his phone. And there are other friends also. Some of them are also lined up. I've asked them to, requested them to come as a guest speaker sometime in the future so that we can learn about the advantage of staying away from these instant gratification, which you talked about so rightly. So now, moving on, Vishal, a very simple question. If you have to start investing today with a very small capital of say 5 lakh or 10 lakh, how would you go about?
See, I think it largely depends on when I need that money, right? If I have 5 lakh, 10 lakh, right? If I need that money the next 5 years, I would keep that money in terms of the capital really safe. So I would rather go with a liquid fund or a fixed deposit or a short-term bank deposit or a short-term fund, debt fund, right? But if that is the money which I need beyond 10 years or beyond 5 years as well, I would put a large part of that money in equities, right? If I am very new to the markets and I don't know anything about picking stocks, I would go with mutual funds or index funds, right? But if I know something about picking stocks, I will also probably buy high quality businesses in my portfolio for the long run, right? So as I mentioned, largely depends on when I need the money. I'm assuming you're talking about, or I'm assuming you're talking about money which I need for the long term, right? Beyond 5 years, I would put almost entire of that money in equities, probably start SIPs in stocks and mutual funds in high quality business or in funds which I understand, in low cost mutual funds or index funds. So a mix of all those, not many. Maybe if I were to create a portfolio with 10 lakh rupees, right, I would probably buy maybe 5 or 6 stocks, maybe two or three mutual funds, including one index fund. I think that should be the portfolio which I think I would have to start off.
Right. So my next question, Vishal, would be, I think everybody would be interested in this. So we all know that Safal Niveshak would probably be ranked number one on the internet, both in terms of quality and quantity of useful content on Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. So I don't think anyone in India has written so much, not just in India, I think even across the world has written as much, and not just as much meaningful content about Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger as Safal Niveshak and yourself. So how have both of them shaped your thinking as not just as an investor, but also as a person? And in fact, you have been able to meet Charlie Munger in person and ask him a question too. Tell us something more about that meeting too, if you can.
So first thing, I probably don't claim to have that authority even in India in terms of writing about Charlie Munger, though I have written a lot about Munger and Buffett for the past 11 years. I've also analyzed a lot of their letters, right? But I think there are a lot of great people on the internet globally as well who are doing much better work in terms of analyzing what Buffett and Munger is all about. And there's so much content out there, meaningful content out there. I think, like you mentioned, right, these two people have, or two wise men, as I have named a book for children based on stories from Buffett and Munger. So these two wise men have been probably the torch bearers in my life as an investor, thinker, decision maker for the past many years, more than 11 years, even much before I started investing or started Safal Niveshak. Right, there's so many relevant lessons, great lessons which I've learned from them. I've mentioned about those living with an inner scorecard, right? Doing work you love, right? Taking care of course, taking care of health is what Buffett has talked about, though he's enjoyed life in his own way. And I completely don't disagree or don't agree with the kind of food that he eats, but that's his life, right? He's lived such a long life. I think, especially because he's lived with an inner scorecard and he's done work that he loves. So that advice, right? Focusing on business quality and not stock prices, focusing on the long term, being a lifelong learner. There,